Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We've got a really interesting two-game WNBA slate today, and there are a couple of spots where the numbers, the injury situation, and the matchup all point in the same direction. I'm going to break down both games, talk through the spots I like, and give you the plays that stand out most to me. Let's get right into it. We start with Washington against New York, and this is a spot where I really like the Liberty. New York is finally close to full strength, and that matters a lot. When this team has Sabrina Ionescu, Jonquil Jones, Breanna Stewart, and the rest of the group available, they become a completely different animal. The offense gets more balanced, the spacing gets better, and the pressure on the opposing defense just ramps up. That's especially important here because Washington is dealing with a major absence of its own. When you take away a key frontcourt piece, it changes the entire shape of the matchup. That means less size, less rim protection, and a lot more difficulty matching up with New York's interior scoring and perimeter shooting. The first thing that jumps out to me is the scoring ceiling for the Liberty. They just put up 104 points in their last game, and that kind of offensive rhythm is hard to ignore. When they're moving the ball like that and getting contributions from multiple places, they can put up a number in a hurry. On the other side, I just don't trust Washington enough to keep pace. They've had some moments, but when you look at the defensive profile and the injury setup, it's hard to see them slowing New York down for 4 quarters. My best pick here is Liberty minus the points, and I also like the over. This feels like a game where New York can control the pace and the scoring can get up there quickly. Now we move to Toronto against Atlanta, and this is a really interesting one because I do think the matchup has some live betting angles. Toronto at home is the side I like here. I know Atlanta has more recognizable names and some players that can absolutely take over a game, but I'm not sold on them as a consistent team right now. They've had too many defensive lapses, too many inconsistent stretches, and too much volatility for me to trust them laying points on the road. Toronto, on the other hand, has the kind of energy and pace that can make life difficult for a team like Atlanta. If they get out and run, push tempo, and force Atlanta into uncomfortable possessions, I think they can control enough of this game to cover. The injury situation also matters. Atlanta still has some missing pieces, and I don't love the way that affects their overall stability. When you're already not a team I trust defensively, missing key bodies makes that even more concerning. I also think this game has real scoring potential. If Toronto gets going and Atlanta responds the way they usually do, we can get a back-and-forth type game that clears the total. So my best picks here is Toronto plus the points, and I also like the over. If this game stays competitive, it should have enough scoring to move past the number. My strongest lean is probably Liberty minus the points. That's the one that feels the most complete to me because New York has the size, the talent, and the depth advantage. If they show up the way they can, I think they can separate in this game. After that, I like Toronto plus the points as the best dog angle. The home court matters, the matchup is workable, and Atlanta just hasn't been stable enough for me to feel great about backing them. Now for game props, we start with Mystics versus Liberty, and this is where I think the sharpest prop angles are. The first player I want to talk about is Sonia Citron. I'm leaning under 3.5 points in the first quarter. She just hasn't been a fast starter this season, and the numbers back that up. When she's been scoring early, it's usually come from free throws, and that's not something I want to rely on against a Liberty team that doesn't foul a ton. If she gets to the line a bunch, that changes things, but in a normal game script, I like the under here. Next is Maureen Johannes. I'm not rushing to the window on her points if Sabrina plays, because her role gets squeezed pretty quickly in that setup. If Sabrina is active, Maureen becomes much more of a low-volume scorer, and I don't want to chase a line that depends on very limited touches. If Sabrina sits, then it becomes a different story. But with the uncertainty still hanging around, I'm not locking anything in yet. The one Liberty player I do like looking at is Breanna Stewart rebounds. The logic is pretty simple. If Washington struggles to score, then Stewie is going to be in position to clean up a lot of misses. She's already shown she can get there in this matchup, and if the Mystics are forced into a lot of tough shots, that rebound line starts to look very playable. On the Washington side, Shakira Austin rebounds is the prop that stands out most to me. I'm not wild about her points because of the way Lauren Betts is soaking up usage, but the rebounds are a different conversation. If Washington is missing shots and the game stays physical inside, Austin can still get there on the glass. I like that a lot more than I like her scoring number. I also think Michaela Onyenwere points over is worth a look. She showed last game that she can take enough shots to make this number alive, and if she gets the same kind of usage again, she has a real chance to clear it. I'm not saying it's automatic, but this is the type of prop that fits a game where one or two players have to carry the offense. And if you want a pure combo look, Sonia Citron rebounds plus assists is interesting. I don't love the points, but the all-around line makes more sense if she stays on the floor all game. That's the kind of prop that can sneak through even when the scoring doesn't. Now to the second game, Dream versus Tempo, and this is where I really like a couple of under angles. The first one is Brittany Sykes under points. I know the usage is going to be there, and that's what makes this scary, but I still think the number is too high. She's been much more hit or miss than people realize, especially against better defenses, and this matchup has more of an ugly game feel than a track meet feel. If Atlanta controls the pace and Toronto makes them work, I like the under. I'm also looking at Marina Mabrey points and rebounds as a more balanced way to attack the Tempo offense. She has the better scoring profile, and if the game gets messy, she's one of the players who can still create enough to get there. I don't love fading her points in this spot, but I do think she can be part of the conversation if you're building a prop card. Another one I like is Alicia Gray rebounds over. This is one of those plays that makes sense because Toronto tends to give up rebounds, and Gray is the type of guard who can chip in on the glass. If the game stays competitive and there are more missed shots than efficient possessions, she has a real path to cashing. I also think Ryan Howard rebounds is a live angle. It's the same idea. If the pace and shot quality aren't great, the guards who are active around the rim can rack up boards. Between her and Gray, I slightly prefer Gray, but Howard is definitely in the mix. If you want to attack Atlanta a different way, Angel Reese double-double is the safest piece of the bunch. The matchup down low is there, and if the Tempo struggle on the defensive glass, Reese should have every chance to clean up. I like the double-double a lot more than trying to pick a random scoring number for her. And then there's Naz Hillman points over. That's the prop I'm personally most interested in from Atlanta's side. The away split is what stands out, and if you're using the home and away theory, this is the kind of spot where she can pop. She's a boom or bust type of play, but if you want upside, this is one of the better ones. My strongest prop lean is probably Sonia Citron first quarter points under. That's the one that feels the cleanest to me because she hasn't been a consistent early scorer, and the Liberty defense should make it hard for her to get easy looks. After that, I like Shakira Austin rebounds and Angel Reese double-double as the safest glass-related angles on the slate. Those are the types of props that can survive even if the game script gets a little weird. So that's where I'm landing today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with somebody who's betting these games tonight. It helps the channel a lot, and it lets me keep bringing you these daily picks and breakdowns. And I'll catch you in the next one.